Hi, I am an artist and I have never painted a single rock before in my life. So today I want to change that by studying this lovely rock formation. But first, let's see what we can do in a 1 minute session. Well, actually it was 2 minutes for today's because I wanted to shake things up a little bit than usual. So yeah. Anyway, when you first look at this reference photo, I think you may say, isn't this a little bit too complicated for a rock painting beginner? And I would say you're right, and you can see for yourself right on the screen right now. The result really speaks for itself. It was way too hard for me to paint this kind of rock. But at least the color of the sky was pretty good, so I would say I'm proud of that. But other than that, well, let's just say we have a lot of room for improvement. And that's is definitely a good thing in any kind of scenario. Now let's move on to the 2-hour section, and here I prepare in advance an additional reference photo for studying / warming up purpose. But before we are talking about those, I want to talk a little bit about some of my predictions I had even before going into the study session. The first one is that the lasso tools is gonna be really useful today. And the second one is that my trusty soft charcoal brush may not be so useful for today's study session. The reason being that I suspected its texture may be a little bit too smooth and soft for rocks. Rocks are rocks. They are not in fact soft. But despite all that, I will be stubborn and I will try to use my trusty little brush because I love it. And I can always change to something else later if things didn't work out. And now we are done with that, let's move on to the actual study. And what I painted first today is this one very nice looking but kinda lonely border right here. After some basic sketching, I started to test my own prediction right away by using the lasso tool. First to carve out the border general shape, and at that point I was not that concerned about accuracy, because I just wanted a general rock shape in there and I think it's good. Next, I used the lasso tool to select the shadow area and painted that. And already I think the first prediction has turned out to be true, because you can see on the screen right now, like just by creating a few shapes with the lasso tools, the rock has already kinda taken shape, even though it's still crude, but I think it's a very good first step. And it's time to test the second prediction. Let's try rendering with my trusty soft charcoal brush. And to be honest, I actually was not that mad at how the brush was doing. The texture may be still a little bit lacking, but it was more on me and my skill issue rather than the brush itself. So I decided to continue using this for the rest of today's study. And for some reason that I can't explain, I started to get a little bit attached to this rock. I don't know, even though I had only worked on this for like 30 minutes, but I kinda already really love it. But I have to move on to the other one though, or else there wouldn't be enough time for that. So the second study started with mostly the same step as the previous ones, except for the fact that I got stuck on basically every single step. And I will blame this on the fact that I wanted to make some changes on an already really complicated reference material. It's all because I didn't want to paint the whole thing, because yes, I do realize painting the whole thing may be a little bit too much, too out of my reach. But I would like to paint the sky, and I really like this part of the rock formation, so I wanted to include that in my study. So that meant I had to do some merging actions here and there, and as a result, I got confused to where the rocks and their shadows should go on my study compared to the original reference material. And by the way, I do know I shouldn't do something fancy like this when I'm just a beginner or something. But well, I did what I did and I had to follow up until the end. Anyway, enough about that. Please look at the power of lasso tools. Can you see that I only used the lasso tool and things already look somewhat rock-like? This is just the lasso tools. There's nothing else. Wow. Oh. Anyway, here's one small tip I discovered while doing this, is that once you are done selecting and painting one part of the rock, in this particular moment is the light part of the rock, you can invert selection to paint the other part of the rock, and in this particular moment is the shadow part of the rock, by the way. So, and in Krita, the shortcut for invert selection is Ctrl+Shift+I also. So that way we can paint some interesting color in both parts of the rock, like the light and the shadow, while keeping the edge and also the value group really clean and clear. Another thing I found really helpful was that after the lasso step, like when you start to render, just focus on the edges between the light and the shadow. It's something that helps a lot with the rock texture, while it only costs relatively low energy, because we mostly have to focus on a small area, which are the edges. So in other words, it's efficiency. Something really great to participate in when we are doing some study like this. As we got closer to the 2 hours mark of the study, even though I hadn't finished this one to a very polished state yet, but I was pretty satisfied with all the things I learned for today, especially the lasso tool. What a great thing to learn. And also the result too. To be honest, I didn't even expect that I could finish this one to this degree of completion in this amount of time, considering how complicated it is, like the reference photo is, and how much I changed from that original reference photo. So yeah, I'm satisfied with this. And I think I'm good with stopping here. Yes, even though, as I just said, it's not very polished yet, but I'm satisfied, and I think I did a pretty successful study today. And as a reward for myself for doing relatively good like that, I decided to come back to my first rock and added some finishing touches, as I just really love this rock. And here's what I love the most about that rock, by the way. The first one is that how the shadow just kind of reflects a little bit of the blue from the sky. Color theory is working. And also how the red I added in there is just a really nice pop color that is something that really suits my personal preference. So yes, another yes. And in fact, I love this one so much that I even added a tiny little figure in front of the rock, just added a little bit of point of interest in there, just to make this even more finished than usual.